Hey, what's going on, folks? Rich. Oh, there's Rich. Hey, I am on a different computer tonight, so I am all over the place. I can't control this damn Chrome pad without a mouse. And anyway, no intro. We're gonna jump right into it. Pirates chat. Me, Rich, and how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Sorry to hear about the computer issue, but modern technology at its finest, right?
Yeah, I'm like ready to lose my mind because this is a totally different view for me now. I'm on a different computer, but the main thing is my mic worked in here, so I at least I got that going for me.
You do. You do. You do.
Oh man. Well, Rich, I don't we had double big news in the baseball league over all the last couple days. Um, as we know, I didn't talk to you about your thoughts on it yet. But Angel Hernandez, you're a CBS X radio guy. I'm sure you've heard everything across the board. I could only find a couple episodes where he was really just screwing a lot of pirates over. And but you overall, you probably got to hear the most of it doing sports talk radio over the last 20 years. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, he is far and away known as the worst um, umpire, and Joe West, who is a Hall of Fame umpire, had been an umpire for 40, I believe 42, 43 years when he retired. I don't know what he was thinking, but he actually had a quote out there today that said that he thought that Angel Hernandez was one of the top 20% of umpires in baseball. Which, if he's in the top 20%, I sure as hell don't want to see the lower 80. Um, he said in a quote, and this actually came from CBSSports.com. I've decided I want to spend more time with my family. Needless to say, there have been many positive changes in the game of baseball since I first entered the profession. This includes the expansion and promotion of minorities. Part of that, a few years back, I don't know if you remember this or not, he actually took MLB to court because he wasn't given a crew chief's position, and he was also left off of postseason work for like numerous years in a row. And those are both positions based on merit. And he thought that it was a prejudice, racial thing, and he actually took Major League Baseball to court about it. It never went anywhere. But so I'm sure that's why he made that little comment about expansion and promotion of minorities. So um, I, from other things that I've seen and read, um, I think it was one of those. You ever seen that situation or been in that situation where they say you can either leave or you can be fired?
Yeah, he took a big settlement. Did you read that? He took a good settlement to get out of that contract. I didn't see what it was. I wasn't sure if it was pretty
Yeah,
or not, but I did browse through it, but I didn't really read it.
yeah. I mean, he's getting he was in Major League Baseball for 33 years, and he did take a nice. In fact, this is from believe it or not, Fox News. Um, but let's see. Uh, he he ended up. Here's one for you. He grew a reputation for being one of the most controversial umpires in baseball. He ranked 67th out of 85 in correct call rate this year. Near the end of last year, he ranked dead last. Um, um, let's see, that thing was in 2021, by the way, again when he took Major League Baseball to court. I don't see a dollar figure anywhere on this, but it did confirm that he took a financial settlement, which I'm sure it was one of those where they bought out the rest of his contract, like you would do with a coach or something like that. You know.
Right. Yeah, I didn't like I said, I didn't really have time to read it today. Obviously, I had some doctor stuff go on today, and yeah, I just didn't feel like doing anything after I found out my news of my leg.
Yeah.
That apparently most people wouldn't even be able to walk, but I'm still able to walk. Anyway,
Well, it's gonna work out for the best, man.
Yeah, either that or I was gonna be sitting behind this mic a whole lot more. Which I mean,
Well,
you never know. I still might, depending on what options I'm told. Obviously, backstage, you told me something. The doctor told me something. So we'll
yeah.
see what happens. But anyway, back to the one that sticks out the closest to the Pirates I saw was the Nationals game and the Pirates game where he was just calling everything outside the zones, strikes and balls, or just strikes galore. Might have been the fastest time in baseball history at an hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I think they said,
Well, I mean,
there were 63 swinging bat totals or something like that. Just crazy number.
yeah. Well, you hear umpires sometimes talk about coast to coast or ocean to ocean, and that's one of those where mostly it happens like a little league or ball where you've got a guy who just cannot find the strike zone to save his life, and you expand the zone a little bit.
Right.
Hernandez, and the bad part was, I think here's where the biggest problem was. He wasn't consistent because he'd have times that you could go a foot either direction, inside, outside, and he'd call it a strike. Then the very next inning, turn around, throw one straight down Broadway, and he looks at the pitcher like he's lost his mind. There's no consistency. I've always looked at it, and most managers will look at it that way. If the umpire is consistent with their strike zone, even if it's a little bit off, they know how to pitch to it. But you get somebody like what Hernandez was doing, you don't know. You don't know from one batter to the next.
I did see another episode of where something happened between him and Alvarez. I didn't.
Yeah.
I know there were no words on it. It was just a quick thing on YouTube. I couldn't find any more on it. Like I said, I only found a couple against the Pirates because obviously we're trying to keep it Pirates only. But there were just so many bad calls. I mean, Lance Lynn got thrown out of the bullpen and the regular game. Well, he got thrown out of the regular game first. Spring training game, wanted to go finish the series. His pitching to get it in, and then he still got tossed from the bullpen. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then you get
training.
Then you get guys that are defending him, and it's like, huh? And here's the thing. This is from the New York Post, where Joe West was talking about whether you want to believe it or not, he was good at it. And I'm sitting there going, okay, maybe on the bases he was pretty good. Don't remember hearing much in terms of giving grief about him on the bases, but behind the plate, he was horrific.
We could ask Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber how he was at calling appeals at third. That was
awful. Schwarber gave him a complete what for at the plate.
Bryce Harper never even broke this, and he called strike 3.
Well, that's one thing a lot of people don't understand about a check swing. The rule has never been that you had to break your wrist. It's never been the rule. If the barrel of the bat crosses the plate, strike.
I'm going to call that
if the barrel of the bat crosses the plate.
But I even on the replay, it didn't look like the barrel of the bat broke the plate.
And in that particular, I don't remember the exact case, but it may not have. But here's the thing that you got to look at in a lot of these cases, because those umpires, they're looking at it from 90 feet. If you've or actually more than that, if you've ever stood where a base umpire stands and tried to see home plate, good luck to you. You got to kind of guess exactly where home plate, because if everything is flat, you really can't see home plate. So you've got a ballpark idea based on where the batter is, of course, and where the catcher's lined up and all that kind of thing. But making that call on a check swing is not the easiest thing in the world to do. I can promise you that. Um,
It
and
doesn't
I've seen
look like
some really bad ones this season from a bunch of different umpires. There was one in Ranger game the other day. They were playing Minnesota,
okay.
and I'll think of the twin in a minute. I can pick Mitch Kepler. The bat literally went completely across the plate and almost through the entire hitting zone, and he didn't call it.
I mean,
And needless to say, Bochy and everybody else, or I'm sorry, Rocco Baldelli and everybody else was going nuts because of the home game.
right.
But it's that human element.
It does not look like Bryce Harper even went anywhere near over the plate on this one.
Gotcha. And like I said, I don't remember the exact case, but I do remember, and I believe it was Angel Hernandez, that Kyle Schwarber absolutely just lost his mind one night. Uh, threw the bat over toward the dugout, threw his helmet about halfway down the first base line. Was slamming his pads and that kind of stuff off the ground.
He wasn't doing that, Rich. He was also
Uh,
pointing outside the zone, Up here, you're calling strikes. Down low, you're throwing. It was great.
yep.
It was.
Oh, it was one of those epic tirades.
Oh man, but I don't know. I didn't see too many people defending him. I know Joe West, I believe, was the one that made the bad call on the Galarraga perfect game, if I recall.
No. That was Jim Joyce.
Jim Joyce, sorry,
And he's admitted that he screwed that up.
he sure did.
He admitted it, I believe, the next day, if I remember correctly.
I think it was a couple of days later when
But
he
it
said,
wasn't long.
"No, it was cleaned up." He admitted he made the mistake, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Because, human beings make mistakes. The last perfect man they nailed to a cross.
Facts. Um, Anyway, Rich, some big news also in the MLB. What did you think of the? Would you call this a late merger, or what would you? I don't even know what to call this. MLB
You're talking about
two.
the Negro League stuff?
Yes.
I don't know. And I know that's not a good answer for what we're doing. I mean, do I get the fact that these guys were tremendous baseball players? Yes. Do I get the fact that a lot of these guys are in the Hall of Fame? You get guys like Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige and guys like that. I mean, they're in the Hall of Fame. And I also get the fact that until Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby did their thing, that you didn't have men of color in Major League Baseball. I get that too. But then you have to look at the talent level. And you hear, I'm sure you've seen these stories that, Satchel Paige would have outpitched Nolan Ryan and all this other craziness.
I, s- I,
It,
I'm trying to buy into this, Rich. I really am. Because
I'm
just
not against it because from everything that I've seen, the
from
quality and read, the quality of Negro League baseball at that time would have been every bit as good as the quality of Major League Baseball at the same time.
so we'll go with our guy. The number one hitter in the league now, Josh Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
1930 to 1946. Okay, played
Mm-hmm.
catcher, obviously. He only
Yeah.
played in 917 games. Had 3,889 plate appearances.
Okay.
That's some games where we get 7 to 8 plate appearances a game. think. I think I did my math right. But anyway, he only had 3,340 at bats though.
Right.
So 888 runs, right on the money. Only had 1,200 hits, and only had 240 home runs. 1,049 RBIs, 54 stolen bases, only caught stealing once, but 511 base on balls.
Right.
Which I don't know. How does that number? How do you only have 54 stolen bases with that many walks?
Well, he was also a catcher.
But here's the one that really threw me off. 32
Okay.
strikes.
Mm-hmm.
32 strikeouts.
There are people in the know, and I've listened to a number of different things. They have a show on Sirius XM called Black Diamonds on MLB Network. That does a lot with the Negro Leagues and that kind of stuff. And I've read and listened to a lot. There are people, a lot of people, it's not just one or two, a lot of people that say the Josh Gibsons of that era would have been what you would look at in the same era in Major League Baseball as a Ted Williams, a Joe DiMaggio, a Mickey Mantle, those kind of guys, a Rogers Hornsby, a Ty Cobb, guys like that, that they would have been in the same category if they would have been given the same abilities. Um, and the other bad part is that there were 7 different Negro leagues going on at different points in time, you know, which are all going to be included into this thing. And I'm sure there's going to be some sort of incorporation into this too, because it's tough to take into comparison because they didn't play 154 or 162 games in the Negro Leagues. And there's even a thing on MLB.com that says, why did it take so long to incorporate the Negro Leagues into statistical record? And it says, once the 2020 decision was made to include the Negro Leagues, MLB and its official statistician, Elias Sports Bureau, had to complete the review process of the seam heads data, and MLB and seam heads had thorough and detailed discussions over how the data would be utilized. Then MLB built upon seam heads database and used RetroSheet, which is an organization that computerizes Major League games from prior to 1984, and a 16-member Negro League Statistical Review Committee to determine what minimum standards would be put in place for Negro League players to qualify for season and or career leaderboards. So, I mean, this wasn't something that they just threw together. For single season Negro League leaderboards, the minimum standard is 3.1 plate appearances or 1 inning pitched per scheduled game, which is the exact same as what it is for the American League and National League. But they also say, however, because of the inconsistencies of Negro League team schedules, the minimum qualifier for each league and season is based upon the average number of games played by each team, multiplied by 3.1 plate appearances for hitters and by 1 inning for pitchers. Those values are subject to change as more data is discovered. As for the career leaderboards, the current standard for MLB is 5,000 at bats and 2,000 innings pitched, which roughly equals 2 full qualifying seasons. Therefore, for Negro League players, the standard has been set at 1,800 at bats and 600 innings, roughly the equivalent of 10 seasons worth of 60 game seasons. That's the other part you got to look at. 60 game seasons compared to 162 or 154.
Yeah, I don't know, because if they're going to start doing this, they're going to bring in Japan League soon. I talked about this last night. Because Japan play people player.
I don't think you're going to see it happen with Japan for a few different reasons. Um, Mainly because of the way that the game is played is different over there and has been different over there. Um, so I don't think you're going to see that incorporated into it. Um, but I do, the integration of Major League Baseball, it allows this to be mathematically put together. Does it, is it even playing field? I don't know. Hitting 446 like Josh Gibson did in 1943. Okay, 446 over 60 games would be extremely tough to do over a period of 162. We've seen guys hit 400 for 60 or 70 or 80 games, maybe even the first half of the season. We saw George Brett do that in 1980. But getting to that 162 to break 400, that's been really, really, really tough to do. The on base percentage thing, Bonds 609 and 04 still has the lead. But then, you've got some of these guys with 560s and 550s. In the grand scheme of things, is it really going to mess things up? I guess is the right way of putting it, and mess up the statistics. I don't think so. Um, if they use the right parameters, it's just going to be something that needs to have the asterisk next to it, just like if you were, especially for single season, just like if you were doing a 154 game season compared to a 162 game season, you got to take into consideration the 60 games instead of the 100 and some.
Yeah, I haven't been able to wrap my head around all these. Well, Jason last night said that they've openly admitted that they didn't keep the stats correct all the time either.
Right. But they've also admitted that Major League Baseball didn't do that either. There are people that have said Cy Young has way more than 511 wins, and that Walter Johnson had way more than 3,000 whatever strikeouts. That kind of thing.
Obviously, technology's made things a lot easier. A lot
Sure.
easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Obviously, you got Pirates at least at the top of the board now for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Josh Gibson's been in the PNC Park for a while. His statue's been in there. I think 2004 or 2006 they put the statue in the left field where down on off of what is that, Robinson Street, that entrance right there into Bunker
Mm-hmm.
Hill. They have a Josh Gibson statue right there.
Sure.
So I mean, I guess it's good and bad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, MLB pretty much honored these guys anyway.
Right. Right. Well, and I mean, a lot of them, and you can see the point that some of these guys, excuse me, some of these guys, if they had been given the opportunity, could have performed with the guys that were playing in Major League Baseball at that time. Who's to say that Josh Gibson or Buck O'Neill or somebody like that wouldn't have been in the same breath as Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Duke Snyder when it was all said and done, and who's to say Cool Papa Bell or Satchel Paige wouldn't have been brought up in the same breath as a Whitey Ford or a Christy Mathewson or somebody like, or Walter Johnson or somebody like that, if they had had a chance to face major league talent.
I have my Satchel Paige jersey. I don't know if it's right behind me or not, but I do have a Paige jersey for the Indians.
Oh, really?
I do.
Very cool.
I think it's sitting on the edge right there, way back there. I can't reach.
I'll take your word for it.
We had we did baseball last night, so I brought out all the jerseys.
Okay.
And I knew that this topic was coming up, so I was like, you know what? I got a Satchel Paige jersey. I'm gonna put it out.
Sure. Why not?
You know, um, very, very. It was very interesting. I'm still trying to decipher it. I just looking at some of these numbers just throws me off. 32 strikeouts in 15 years. I mean, O'Neill Cruz has 53 already.
Well, but you have to remember it was a different time too, because okay, again, 32 strikeouts. Let's say he played 15 years. That's 32 strikeouts in 900 games, which is basically 5.5 MLB seasons. Tony Gwynn did that. Wade Boggs did that.
I don't know.
You
I
know.
just find that hard to believe in 15 years, 32 strikeouts. It just blows my mind, Rich.
Well, the big thing that you have to remember when you look at those career numbers is take into consideration that they played half as many games per season as Major League Baseball did. When you're only playing 60 instead of 150 or 162, that makes a monster difference.
True. But it was I feel good, and like I said, I don't really have full thoughts on it yet. I'm just trying to process it all, Richard.
Not a problem, man. That's part of what's cool about doing things like this and getting a chance to talk about different things and stuff, because I don't have all the answers. I don't know. Major League Baseball doesn't even have all the answers. But, we can pick bits and pieces, and those of us that are numbers guys, which I claim to be one, um, we can come up with certain parts of this, but like I say, I don't know it all. Major League Baseball doesn't know it all. Nobody can claim to know it all. But bit by bit, we can learn a little bit more all the time.
Yeah, gotcha, gotcha. So, should we get on to modern day baseball and break
Sure.
down these Buckos a little bit, talk about them for a little bit? Um, Obviously, Paul Skeens, the man's living up to his number one pick for sure.
He is. He is. He pitched the second game of the doubleheader today. First game, Jared Jones pitched. I got a chance to watch all of that one. And
He didn't have it today.
you just have those days, man. He just straight didn't have it. 4 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. He did not have a swinging strike until halfway through the third inning. Even when they were swinging it, they were fouling it off. They were hitting the ball. The Tigers scored 3 times in the first, and it could have been a whole lot more than that. But it was just one of those crazy things. On the flip side, Tariq Skubal, who is one of the best pitchers in the American League right now, he went out and he was lights out, as he has been a lot of the year. 7 innings, 3 hits. The only hits for the Pirates, Connor Joe had one, Gonzalez had one, and Grandal had one. But when Matt Verling hit that 3-run bomb in the fifth for the Tigers, it was church at that point. Jones doesn't make it out of the fifth, and the defense did not help him much today either. I mean, Ke'Bryan Hayes, he did his best Corbin Burnson imitation, best Roger Dorn imitation, I guess you could say. He Olayed one big time. And I could have just seen little Lou Brown popping out of the dugout and, getting him grief about it.
Front of the ball,
It just
get in front of the ball, Dorn.
yeah, it was I mean, granted, it was hit like a rocket, no question. But he got to get in front of that one. Game 2 on the flip side, Buccos win 10-2. Our boy Skeens goes out there. 22nd birthday today. Happy birthday to Mr. Skeens as we record on the 29th.
Just to let you know, Cooch came up and caught for Skeens, and Skeens was a lot more comfortable. I don't know if you read that or not after the game.
Yeah, I read a little about that.
The catcher that he pitched with down in AAA. So maybe they're gonna keep Koch up here. Bart's gonna be out for a while apparently with that finger.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did at the bat today. I didn't get a chance. I just saw the score and the box score for Skeens because I knew we were going to talk about it.
He went 0 for 3 with a walk and scored a run.
Okay, so he got on base and scored, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean your big hitters in the second game. Kutch hit a 3-run bomb. Gonzalez hit a solo shot. McCutchen and Gonzalez had 3 hits apiece. Connor and Bay had 2 apiece. So, I mean, they put 13 hits on the board. They definitely came out mad after the first game. Skeens went 6, struck out 9. Continued his, really, really strong pitching. 3 hits in 6 innings. I'll take that all day. 96 pitches, 70 strikes.
I think he's got 18 hits and 23 strikeouts.
Yep. And if I remember right, only 6 runs in those 18 innings.
He's definitely living up to his hype. He's definitely worthy of saying, hey, I was the number 1 pick for a reason, and I'm going to go out there and prove it every time.
Oh, shoot, yeah. I mean, he goes out there and carries a 3 or a sub-3 ERA. No complaints from this guy.
1.50 in the last 2 starts.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if he goes out there and carries a 3 or below 3, especially in the National League, okay, I'm good. No complaints.
I'm not complaining.
No. And if you sit there and really look at it, the Pirates' front 3 right this second, it hasn't been pitching that's been, well, let me rephrase that. It hasn't been starting pitching that's been their issue since Skeens came up. Jones has been really good. Skeens has been good. No, everybody forgets about Mitch Keller. You got them 3 guys. That's a solid front 3. Then whoever you're throwing behind him, whether it's Perez, who's currently on the injured list, or whoever. But I heard rumblings that they were talking about maybe signing Rich Hill off the
Trevor Bauer. God, the dude's pitching lights out. Give him a $750,000 contract. Tell me screws around, does anything dumb. He's found not guilty, Rich.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he should have never shown how much power he had and thrown a baseball from pitcher's mound into the waterfall. But anyway, that was a hell of a throw. I don't care.
Well, I don't think that was the issue. We know what the issue was. The alleged, supposed domestic violence.
Right, but he was found not guilty.
I understand, and I understand it, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't be out there.
I thought it was that was the bedroom stuff is what was going to court.
Yeah.
Well, did that come out? Once I feel the man deserves a shot. I don't know if you need a 4th pitcher, and he's throwing lights out down in Mexico. I don't know if they signed him to another 5-game contract or not. I don't keep up with Trevor Bauer, but obviously I know he was pitching lights out in those 5 starts that he had right beyond the board.
He was, and when you look at the team right now, they need some pitching. I also saw a thing the other day or yesterday, in fact, and if they decide to go ahead and do this, I might have a whole different thought process on this ownership run. The Marlins are supposed to be having a fire sale. And there's been talk about the Pirates going after Jazz Chisholm.
Why not get Luzardo in that deal too? But
It's going to depend what you got to give up.
But right now, Rich, it makes more sense for the big injury that team to go after him in center field, and that would be the Atlanta Braves.
Well, but you got to remember, Acuna doesn't play center; he plays right. You don't have a hole in center field if you're Atlanta. You have a hole in right field, which can be filled a whole heck of a lot easier than a hole in center field. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm just saying, like, why wouldn't they look into trading in division if they're having a fire sale?
I don't know. All I know is, if the Pirates are looking at making some improvements, because I mean, they're 5 games under 500 right now. And we all know this. Again, as we record on the 29th of May. They're 4 games under 500, I'm sorry. 6 games out of first in the division. Milwaukee has not run away with this thing yet, ladies and gentlemen. And they're 2.5 out of a wild card spot. And I don't know about you, but when I look at the wild card right now, please tell me if any of the following teams really scare you. San Francisco, San Diego, St. Louis. Any of those teams scare you?
No.
It's the 3 teams ahead of the Pirates. If they can get 1 or 2 pieces, to me, the most glaring problem they have is first base.
Rowdy's not doing it for you?
Why would it kept Santana? I know Santana is not Freddie Freeman. He's not, somebody, Joe Mauer. He's not somebody like that. But good grief. I mean, he'll hit you 250. He'll hit you 20 bombs.
He didn't want to be here.
Was it that, or was it the fact the Pirates wouldn't pay him?
Probably both. Probably both. And now Santana, is he still in Milwaukee?
No, Minnesota.
Oh, he went to Minnesota now.
Yeah, he's playing first base in Minnesota. And see, they're talking about the conceivability of bringing back Josh Bell.
I saw that. And I don't know why.
It's an upgrade on what you got.
I guess.
Tellez does 0 for me. His defense is suspect. His bat is horrible this year, and you time him with a sundial going around the bases. I mean, at least with Bell, you got a switch hitter. He has pop. He hits halfway decent. Plays a good defense.
Yeah, but does he want to come back here?
If the Marlins trade him, he don't have a choice.
So would you try and get Bell, Luzardo, Chisholm in a package?
Depends what you got to give up. Depends what you got to give up, because if you're going to do something like that, I mean, they're going to want minor league guys. They're going to want prospects. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody like a Gonzalez was in that deal, was going to be in that want from Miami. You want to give up Gonzalez?
To bring those 3 up here, yes.
Well, you're going to have to give up more than just Gonzalez, but
I'm just saying, if that's like their main focal point, yes.
Okay.
Because we're getting a stronger outcome in 3 positions instead of 1.
See, and I know this is going to get real popular here with all our Bucco fans out there. I'd trade Triolo first. I would trade Triolo before I traded Gonzalez.
I told Mike Triolo was going to be on the starting day roster over Gonzalez, and he looked at me like I was nuts. But Triolo was there.
I mean, I like Triolo. I think he's a fine ball player, but no. And see, there's another team too that I think has
If you give up both of them, we're gonna have a hole at second.
Well, no, if you get rid of Triolo, you put Gonzalez at second.
Or if we have to get rid of both of them, I said.
I don't think you got to get rid of both of them.
Depending on what the Marlins want.
I honestly think you could get Bell for a bag and a couple of bats. You could probably get now Chisholm would cost you either Triolo or Gonzalez and probably a minor league pitcher.
That's what I mean. I'd rather see Bell come here in a deal instead of 1-for-1. That I would personally feel better about that deal.
Now, there is another guy that's on a team that is horrific right now that I think is a solid first baseman that I think could really I think he can make an impact on the team. He's not hitting for crap this year, but it's because he's got nothing around him. Plays a good first, hits decent. And that's Andrew Vaughn in Chicago with the White Sox.
That dude's a mess this year.
Huh?
That dude's a mess. I don't think I've used him once in DFS at all.
But he's got nobody in that lineup. I mean, you look at the only decent players in that lineup are on the roster are hurt. Jimenez hurt. Yeah. Oh,
What are you gonna give up? Like,
I'll be all right in a minute. The other outfielder.
That's like their star player, Rich.
And I'm drawing a blank.
Unfortunately, that's their star player.
But Eloy Jimenez? No, Luis Robert.
Right. I'm talking about like on the roster, not injured.
Yeah.
But that's their star player on the roster. They're going to be wanting more than a bag of chips.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm looking at Andrew Vaughn.
Right. And that's the only player they have right now that's not injured.
Well, he's hitting a $190. What can you actually ask for a guy hitting a $190? If that's the case, they can go hit Washington up and bring in Joey Gallo, my boy from the Rangers. He hits him 700 feet. The only problem is he only hits one a week.
That's what I was going to get into. And I'm sure Jamie would, Joey Gallo.
I mean, I love me some Joey Gallo. I do. I loved him when he was with the Rangers. I have a Gallo jersey.
That's what I was just ready to ask. Do you have the jersey?
But I mean, you could always be stupid and try to make a short-term rental for Pete Alonso.
If we do it before the All-Star break, we could have a home run derby champ.
Yeah. And he'll hit some in Arlington.
I mean, is it worth it?
Alonso?
Yeah.
Not for a short term, no.
Because I mean, unfortunately,
because he's one of those. Do what now?
That's all we'd get him for. We know we're not going to fork out the money to keep Alonso. So he would definitely be a runner. But how much do you have to give up to get that runner?
I think it starts with Gonzalez and Triolo. Actually, it might cost you Triolo and Hayes.
And the way you talked about Hayes today, sounds like it might be a good plan.
No problem, Hayes.
No,
I mean, he Olayed one. He Olayed one, sure, but he's also got a major back injury at the same time.
I like Hayes.
I like Hayes.
Then you got that contract to go with it too.
Well, here's what I would almost be open to doing. And I realize it doesn't happen in Major League Baseball that often.
Okay.
But you do the old NBA move and do a sign and trade. Mets sign Alonso to a 2-year deal, let's just say.
Okay.
For whatever. $25 million a year, then trade him to the Pirates. So he's under Pirate control for 3 years, for 2.5 years.
That doesn't happen in baseball.
Do
Unfortunately,
what now?
that don't happen in baseball.
But that's what you would have to do, because for what you would have to give up to bring Pete Alonso in, you'd have to give up a lot.
Right.
You really would. And the Mets are going to want the moon and the stars for him. But there's got to be something out there at first base. I mean, good grief.
All right. I'm gonna dive into this real quick, Rich. I was trying not to, but let's do 2025 free agents, right?
2025 free agents, okay.
Right? Isn't that where we look for next year?
Oh yeah,
see who the rental players are.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You would want to look under 24 free agents.
Why? But it's for next year, the free agency.
Goldschmidt, Alonso, Hoskins, Rizzo, Bell, Tellez, Walker, Ryan O'Hearn, and Carlos Santana.
Well, we know I get the feeling the O's are going to be trying to re-sign O'Hearn.
And the Diamondbacks are going to want to keep Christian Walker. Goldie's getting to the point he's about ready to hang it up. Alonso's going to want too much money. Rhys Hoskins is an interesting possibility.
Fits the mold. 31 years old next year.
Is that?
He'll be 31 next year.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple other ones on here that aren't listed as a first baseman, but you could put at first. Justin Turner.
Okay.
This could be interesting because he has played some first. He's played everywhere. What about Jurickson Profar?
This is it. DFS has turned me away from this guy. He's on, he's off, he's on, he's off. It's crazy.
Yeah, but
I know he's well-rounded infield and outfield, but
I mean, I don't. Here's the part that I don't understand.
okay.
They've got a first baseman on the team right now. They just won't put him there and leave him there. Do you have any problems with Connor Joe playing first?
No. Is he not tall enough? Is that why they don't play him at first all the time?
I have no idea. But to me, he plays a solid defensive first. He hits well. I mean, no, is he a 320 hitter and going to hit 35 bombs? Heck no, there's nobody on that roster that's going to do that right now. Your best shot at getting 30 bombs is Reynolds. But, I mean, if you think about this for a minute, and folks, when you're hearing this, remember, this is May 29th of 2024. If you're rolling out your everyday defense and you've got Grandal behind the plate, Bart when he's not hurt, Grandal behind the plate, Joe at first, Gonzalez at second, Cruz at short, Hayes at third, Reynolds in left, Taylor in right, or Taylor in center, Touch in right. Anybody got issues with that? It's not a bad defense.
I like Kutch as a DH better than a fielder.
Say again?
I like Kutch as a DH better than a fielder.
Well, and the thing is, you can rotate Kutch out of that DH spot. I mean, that's
I'm just saying. I feel he has more pop being a DH only.
and I can agree with you that there may be a better permanent right fielder. That's what I'm looking at right now. I mean, if you put put Bay in right and have Kutch as your DH.
Yeah, I mean, there's things we could do. I mean, actually,
Or put Oliveras out there.
There's options. They just don't want to do it.
Well, and I think that's where your difference comes in your manager. Everybody hammers Shelton just because they want to hammer Shelton. That's not the issue. The Rangers had the same situation with Chris Woodward. Chris Woodward was fine as a manager, but he was never going to win a championship. Now, granted, the Rangers went out and they added a couple of guys that made a big difference, but you could see them starting to make the turn when it all came together. Okay. And then they added Seager and they added Simeon and they added DeGrom and that. Okay. So that's where that came in. Okay. The big thing with that, though, with the Pirates team is that the ownership and the upper management isn't willing to spend the money to bring in those big guys. No. See Pete Alonso.
That's why you got to wonder if they'd bring in Jazz.
Jazz's contract isn't that big.
I thought I saw Peter Pratt say it was decent.
If I remember correctly, let's see. Roster. Okay, he is.
He's not making that much money. You're right. 2.6.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to be making by the end of the year, but his contract's only $749.
Okay. Right. So you can get him relatively cheap.
But is he going?
And is he what?
Is he going to want paid?
Possibly, but I mean, you look at his numbers right now. He's hitting 260. He's got 8 bombs, 30 RBI, 10 steals.
He's starting to get hot right now.
He is.
2 of those bombs this week or last week.
Right, but he's a career 250 hitter. He's a career 250 hitter. He's got 60 bombs, 180 RBI. He's not. He could be a really solid piece. You take Michael Taylor out, you put Jazz Chisholm in. That's a massive upgrade. Right?
I think so.
So Reynolds is going to be Reynolds. Right? Bay, Oliveras, McCutchen, me, whoever. Don't care.
I'll get your
Take
jersey.
care of that.
I'll get your jersey.
There you go. Joe at first. Gonzalez at second. Cruz at short. Hayes at third. You've got Triolo to do backup, unless you end up having to send him to Miami for Chisholm. which you probably will. And then you got Bart and Grandal behind the plate. Is that a World Series team? No, not yet.
But it could be a winning team.
Exactly. Is it a playoff team?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe. It's a winning team.
Right. You can win 85 games and make the playoffs.
Yes.
And with a pitching staff, go back to the pitching, with a front three of the pitching staff being Skeens and Jones and Keller, I sure like that combo. I like that combo a whole bunch.
I like that combo for playoffs.
And then whoever the fourth one is, I mean, whether it's Martin Perez or whether it's, Falter, who, okay, somebody find me an issue with Falter right now.
I'm not going there. I don't have any issues with the guy.
I mean, you could throw him out there as your 4. You might even, you could see how it works. Try Ortiz as your 4. Give him a couple of spot starts and see what happens.
Right.
So, do they have the pieces to make the playoffs? Yes. But I also think they need a manager in there that has won before. I'm not saying they got to bring in a Bruce Bochy or a Terry Francona or a David Ross or somebody like. Well, actually, David Ross might not be bad.
Terry Francona might not be bad either, being a Pittsburgh guy.
Well, Francona for the Pittsburgh story would be great, but I mean he's dealing with so many health things right now and all that kind of stuff. If you brought him in as a consultant, that's one thing. I think if you brought him in as a manager, you could be asking for some issues. But the smartest move the Angels made was signing Ron Washington. Man's been to 2 World Series. Should have won one of them.
He's doing pretty good out there.
I was here for that stuff. And people blame Nelly Cruz about that, losing the series. A lot of people forget that was game 6, ladies and gentlemen. Rangers went out there and stunk up the joint in game 7 and lost it. They should have won that series. They weren't going to win the one against Bochy against San Francisco. They should have beat St. Louis.
I got to ask
if they can get
real quick.
Sorry. Yeah.
You happen to see the Colorado Cleveland game yesterday?
I saw a couple of highlights, but not any major part of it.
If Cleveland is to come back, they're going to need some of them fireworks from last night for sure. 2 right now. Sorry, I think I my DFS. Sorry, and it's doing awful right now.
Yeah, I was a little mad at my DFS last night.
Where are you?
I was sitting in 8th place in one of my leagues.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, the guys that I had hitting decided not to hit anymore.
That's the worst.
Didn't get another point the rest of the time. Finished like 48th instead of 8th.
I had 2 first place finishes in basketball last night.
Very nice.
But with it only being a single game, everyone else had
yeah.
So you don't win it. You don't win as much, but it's like, okay, I finished in first, so I still have to feel good, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I do a lot of single entry games.
Okay.
I do a lot of those. So yeah, it's a smaller pool, but if you're playing a 25-cent game, first place is $100. You're playing a $1 game, first place is $300, $400, $500. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I hit on. I maxed out the nickels because it was $7 or something. So that line came in first or third, one of the two, but it was worth 28 cents per thing. So I turned a nickel into 28 cents, which turned into like 38 bucks or something.
There you go.
Not bad. Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
No, I bet. Um, yeah, so we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, these Buccos, they had a nice 10 game run. What they do? I think they split it actually 5-5, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly what I read earlier.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Fi- Yeah, 5-5. Actually, I guess we could go last 11 because of the doubleheader today.
Yeah.
So I guess they just went 6-6.
Well, I mean, if you would have told me they were going to take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta, I'd have told you were bananas.
And it's funny, Atlanta won the game where Acuna got hurt,
Yeah.
which I feel awful for him.
Oh,
But
me
last
too.
time, last time Acuna had a major injury, we saw Freddie Freeman putting the game-winning ball in his back pocket.
True, but Freddie Freeman's not on that team.
I was just saying what we saw.
Right, but I'm just saying a lot of people discount the value that he particularly had on that team. Not to mention the fact I'm not super sure about the Braves pitching.
Well, they're hurting too.
Yeah. I mean, Elder's hurt, Freed's always hurt.
Strider,
Strider's done.
is
Um,
Freed. I think Freed was one of the only healthy ones, right?
yeah,
No.
but Freed's been on the injured list this year.
Yeah, early. I think he's back now though.
Yeah, he is. But Strider's done for the year. Elder's done. I think he's done for the year. Um, their pitching is just not what it has been and what it needs to be at all.
That's why I was saying if the Braves were going to go for it and the Marlins are selling,
Yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking at the Pirates month of June.
the
They
schedule.
could make a little if they really do what they can do, they could make some hay in June. You got 2 at Toronto, then you got 3 against the Dodgers. Okay, that's a whole different question.
And that's at
3
PNC.
against Minnesota, huh?
That's at PNC Park.
True.
Dude,
But then you got
the Dodgers are not playing really good ball right now, but they're playing better ball than us. But if you talk to a
well,
Dodger fan, they're worried.
I don't know what they're worried about.
When you get used to winning, Rich, I guess like when you lose a couple games, you worry. Like
Maybe so, but
our Buccos lose a couple games, we're like, we got this. When you're in a winning franchise and they start losing a couple games, I guess these are questions that the fans start to rumble and start to like get on you, I guess.
I guess. I mean, National League right now is the Dodgers and the Phillies to lose. It just is. I mean, they're the best teams head and shoulders in the National League. But
All right, so
I mean, you figure,
we got the
huh?
first 8 games of June against out of our division games. We got the Twins.
Well,
You mentioned
the
Dodgers.
whole month, the whole month of June, except for 2 series, is out of division. You got a
Cardinals
series against St. Louis and a series against Cincinnati on the road. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 series against Cincinnati.
in June this year. 7
Mm-hmm.
at home. And then we're at them. Okay, we play them a week apart.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think that the Pirates could make a little bit of hay in June.
Then we end the
I'm not
month.
saying,
Then we
I'm
end,
not saying they're going to go 17-0 or anything like that, but
then we end the month in Atlanta. And then we're back home for the Cardinals starting July.
yeah. And you start July pretty good. I mean, you got the Cardinals, you got the Mets,
And if you
Milwaukee is good, and then you get the White Sox.
trade deadline, Rich, and could Pete Alonso be a Pirate and play against his former team that week?
Could be.
I'm just
Could be.
talking out my ass, of course. But
Hey, I mean,
station, you know.
the Pirates have got to make a move or two. They have to. What moves?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
There's
But they got to.
There's a lot
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. I mean, bullpen. They got to do something with that bullpen. As far as I'm concerned, there's 3 guys out there I'm confident in.
Are we going to be sellers, Rich? Because we're almost in the cellar.
We're 2.5 games out of a wild card.
We're still 4th in the division. I'm just saying. You know,
but we're 2.5 out of a wild card.
How the nuttings thing.
All I'm telling you is, if we have a halfway decent June.
Because if you want to talk about going on a run for a first baseman, there's a team in very last place. Not very last, but I mean, they're in last and they're 13 back of first right now. And that would be the team coming pretty soon here, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays. Vlad Guerrero.
Now, you want to talk about big dollars. I think Vladdy's making like 24, 25 million a year.
Could be worth it. Could be worth it if they're trying to get rid of him being in last place. They're going to be sellers.
Arguably, but man, I'll tell you,
that would help me like nutting a lot more, showing that you're going to go after it.
I'll tell you what, though, I'd rather go after some of their pitching instead. I'd rather go after somebody like Jordan Romano or a Mitch White or somebody like that to put in that bullpen, shore up that bullpen. Because let's be honest, I mean, Bednar is hit or miss. And I don't trust Chapman to close games out. But if you could put Holderman or you could put Romano in there with Bednar to kind of be a hodgepodge closer, okay. You know, if 7, 8, 9 is Chapman, some combination of Chapman, Bednar, Romano, and Holderman, okay.
I know. I was just sticking to first baseman, Rich, because that's what we were talking about.
I understand. First baseman is on the team. Just let him play.
But they're not.
That I don't understand. I mean, I realize they didn't sign Tellez to that big of a deal. You know?
Right. I mean, what are these Angels going to be doing at the deadline? They're falling behind. And the other 9, they're 9 out, depending on what the Mariners do tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Angels, they've got a lot of really young talent on that team. Taylor Ward is really good. Logan O'Hoppe is really good. Luis Rengifo is super good. I don't think Trout wants traded.
You think he's in that comfy era of his prime, or you know?
The only place I could see him being traded, and boy, if they made that trade, holy smoke! The only place I could see him getting traded is Philly.
I think that might be the only place he lifts his head to.
I mean, he's got the no trade. He's got the 10, 10 and 10.
It doesn't seem like he wants to go.
No, but if he has the chance to win, because God knows Philly has a chance to win.
And that bat in that lineup would be just more dangerous than ever.
Putting that bat in that lineup would be insane. It would make the Dodgers look like a little league team. I mean, you throw a healthy Trey Turner, Trout, Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto, da 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 da. Oh my gosh!
You didn't even you that lineup's so big you just totally ignored Schwarber.
Yeah, Schwarber wouldn't be the leadoff guy anymore. I can guarantee you that. I have
maybe
never understood. I've never understood how a guy that hits 212 hits leadoff. I've never understood that.
would you try and bet him 8th or 9th to get the ball in the lineup running for Trout?
I hit him 7th. Leadoff Turner. Hit Trout 2nd. Real Muto 3. Harper 4. Castellanos 5. Bone 6. And then Schwarber 7.
Yeah, can I not face that lineup?
Oh man,
That would be ugly.
they'd have to try hard to not win the World Series.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rich. Well, Rich, do you want to keep going? We're at an hour and 11 right now.
I mean, I'm good if you are. We got a busy rest of the week and that kind of thing. I know we got some stuff we're going to be getting into here in the next week or two. That we got, of course, trade deadline rolling around in the next few weeks, and we got some different things happening. So, I mean, I'm good if you're good.
I'm good. Might even get a best ball draft in here.
Yeah, let's do it this weekend, man. Let's do it.
All right, I'm in. Yeah. So, well, yeah, and I don't know how much battery I have left on this thing actually.
Oh well, there you go.
I am on a different computer. That was kind of like my main concern.
Gotcha.
I didn't want it to cut
Gotcha.
off.
Gotcha.
I didn't want it to cut off and be like shit. I'd have to log into my phone.
Right.
But hey, I must thank everyone for tuning in. I know we didn't get any comments this week, but that's all right. You guys are always welcome to pop onto the YouTube channel and give comments. Absolutely. Rich, how people get a hold of you, buddy?
At Go Big Go Home Pod on the X, the Twitter, the little birdie, whatever you decide you want to call it this week, or on Facebook at my name, Rich Richardson.
All right, I am at Sports Talking It. Obviously, I don't have the hurricane down there today. I didn't even know where to write it in. Anyway, Sports Talking It. You can find me on Twitter, Bird, whatever we're calling it, like Rich just said. You can Driving to the Top Productions on YouTube, Driving to the Top on the Bird again. And yes, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Might have a guest Monday too, Rich. I know it was seen the message, so yeah, we might have a show Monday with a
Okay.
guest.
Sounds like a
So
plan.
that's what's going on here. Hopefully I can get this computer fixed because it's gonna drive me nuts if I can't.
Yeah, I hope you can.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't like it. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, give it all that good jazz. Follow us both on Twitter, and everybody have a good night. Hold on, it's not letting me. Oh yeah, we just changed the background. Oh yeah.